something big is happening right now, and it's very suspicious what's going on with our food supply and with hundreds of thousands of people right now. Hundreds of thousands of people are getting extremely sick just from eating food that they normally eat at the grocery store, right? This is food that they eat every single day, all the time. They've been eating it for 40 years, and now they go to the grocery store and they get extremely sick and they go into anaphylactic shock. That is what is happening right now, and the details around it are extremely suspicious, and I am worried that something bigger could be going on. I'm not saying that it is, but it's extremely dangerous, and you need to be on the lookout for this, because what's causing this, I had 2 of these things on me just in the past week. What's causing this? All right, people are going into anaphylactic shock from eating their food at the grocery store. All right, so we're going to dive into all this. This is very suspicious. They're saying this is spreading to multiple states. All right, the federal government issued an emergency warning related to this just recently as well. So this is spreading. People are getting deathly ill just from eating the food that they normally eat at the grocery store. This is going on right now, and you need to be getting prepared for it. You need to know about this because it's spreading, and I'm worried that this could be bioengineered potentially. All right, we are entering territories where even Congress itself has worried about certain bioweapons like this being released. All right, so we're going to dive into all the details here. There's multiple different stories that are extremely suspicious that are tied to this company. So if you haven't seen the news, the federal government and multiple states have been putting out warnings that this disease is spreading, and it's called alpha-gal syndrome. And the reason why I say it's so suspicious is because it's being spread by ticks. And why is that suspicious? Well, first off, to start, Congress itself ordered a full investigation. They ordered the Pentagon to investigate itself, so it didn't really go anywhere. That the Pentagon was releasing weaponized ticks throughout the past 50 years, and that's where things like Lyme disease have popped up, okay? Now we have bioengineering companies like Oxitec that have been working on these bioengineered ticks, okay? And you can guess who they have been sponsored by as well. This could be a total coincidence, but they are actually sponsored by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And this is the same company that also just released hundreds of millions of more GMO mosquitoes in Florida and California. Oxitec, this is the same company, and they are genetically manipulating ticks as well, cattle ticks specifically, so the ticks do not want to eat beef and the ticks do not reproduce. Very similar to what they're doing with the mosquitoes. And what did we see with these mosquitoes happen in Florida just a few months ago? Just last month, they issued an emergency malaria alert. They haven't had malaria in Florida in decades. I've never heard of such a thing. I lived in Florida most of my life. I grew up in Florida, and I've never heard of malaria being in Florida. And it is now in Florida all of a sudden after these. And I'm not saying that's what happened. Okay, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but I'm saying we are opening pathways by genetically manipulating these animals' DNA. And these ticks, they're being manipulated specifically to not eat the meat, okay, because they cause devastation. They cause billions of dollars in losses in Brazil alone just last year, these devastating cattle ticks. So they are now engineering them to not eat the cattle and to not reproduce as well. And now we are seeing an explosion of these diseases, alpha-gal syndrome, where you can't eat meat after you're bitten by a tick. All right, so I'm not saying it's directly related, but I'm saying it's very suspicious what's going on here. And when you start genetically splicing animals, all they normally do is insert DNA from a different animal or a different species, a different plant, something like that. They insert like corn, okay? They insert scorpion DNA in it to grow the BT poison that will kill caterpillars when it eats their corn. All right, that's what GMO corn is all about. It has scorpion spliced DNA into it. So they are splicing the DNA of these ticks and manipulating them, and now they are biting people, and these syndromes are exploding. All right, so let me know down below, what do you think's happening here? This is very suspicious. I'm not saying that this is what's happening, but when you open these pathways by splicing genetics, then you are allowing it to spread to potentially more species, okay? Because this is almost like a cross species. It's almost not even corn anymore. It's corn with scorpion DNA. So it could potentially cross species send diseases through with this DNA vector in it, all right? And it could cause mutations that we don't know. We don't really know what's going to happen. And it's very suspicious that this company, Oxitec, all of a sudden, they start manipulating these ticks, okay? They start releasing them, and they call them friendly ticks, friendly. They're the friendly kind. And these specific ticks, these Asian long ticks, all right, they call them Asian blue ticks, Asian long ticks, all right, that's what they're called. They have been invading the US for years, and they have been becoming a problem for our cattle as well. And these ticks as well are specifically known to spread diseases to other ticks as well. So they're saying that a lot of people get this from the Lone Star tick, this alpha-gal syndrome, but this other tick, all right, this Asian long tick, can also spread diseases to other ticks, and it is more prevalent in the US now too, so people could be getting bit more by that. And I'm telling you, I went down to the lake last week, and I had to walk through some brush to get to it, and I got 2 ticks on me just walking back and forth to the lake. I got 2 ticks on me when I got back to my RV, and I was drying off. 2 ticks on me, on my legs, all right? And there was a tick on my dog as well too. And the key with ticks is you have to get them off right away. In the first 24 hours, bare minimum. Honestly, the sooner the better. If you get them off in the first 10 minutes, that's the better, because the longer they latch on, the more of a chance they have to transmit bacteria and diseases, all right? So this is very serious that this is happening. We are opening up these pathways, and it's the same company. This blew my mind when I was researching this. I was like, Oxitec. I was like, wait a minute, that's the company that did the mosquito releases, and they started doing this in 2020 in Florida, and they just did it again a few months ago. They just had another massive release hundreds of millions of mosquitoes in Florida and California actually as well. And it's the same company releasing these mosquitoes that's also releasing these GMO ticks into the environment as well to deal with these cattle ticks. All right. So let me know what you guys think is going on. This is very suspicious. This is not something that I believe we should be doing. All right. We should not be manipulating animals and bugs specifically that can bite us. Very dangerous. And they have direct access to your blood supply. So very dangerous vector point to be genetically manipulating insects like this that interact with humans and can potentially, there could be some crossover. I'm not saying there is, but the potentiality is definitely there. You cannot deny that. And this is how a lot of these things start, all right? Throughout, there's evidence of this starting in the past, recent history, all right? Things like this happening. So what do you guys think about this? Are you seeing more ticks in your area? I'm telling you, I had 2 ticks on me just walking through some high brush going down to the lake to go swim in it. And then my dog had a tick on her later. She was sitting on the couch, and I noticed a tick crawling off her. She's trying to crawl onto me, all right? So these things are spreading, and some animals actually eat ticks, like chickens eat ticks, guinea fowl eat ticks. So if you do have a big problem, having high grass definitely attracts a lot of ticks, and having just like dead wood around, things like that, definitely attract them. All right, I was walking through some pretty thick grass when I got 2 of them on me. And check yourself. If you're going outside, you're going hiking in the woods, check yourself, because Lyme disease as well, all right? The Congress itself thinks that Lyme disease was a bioweapon released by the Pentagon, and they ordered an investigation of it, but it was just an investigation by the Pentagon, so nothing ever happened, never went anywhere. It's like telling them to investigate where all this money went. They're just gonna be like, we don't know, we just don't know where it went, so there's no way to tell where it went. All right, it's one of those things. It's like, it's this circular loop where you're not going to get anything when you're investigating yourself, telling the government to investigate themselves on this. So let me know down below. Hit it up down for me down below too. I really appreciate that, to get this video out, because people need to know. All right, the CDC warned that over 500,000 people have it, and they're saying it's spreading like crazy. I showed you all these articles of all these different states warning just in the past 48 hours that, hey, this alpha-gal is spreading. You need to be aware of it. And it forces you to have anaphylactic shock if you eat meat. So this is very dangerous. You could be bit by a tick. You could find it, whatever, 24 hours later, oh, you didn't know it was on your, it was on your leg, on your rear hind. All right, you couldn't see it back there. That's what I'm always worried about. There's one back there, and I'm just like, I'm screwed. I'm screwed over here. It's been 24 hours. I didn't see it over here, and that's what I'm always worried about. And then you develop this syndrome. You like start getting a little sick, maybe when you eat meat, and then one day you have a anaphylactic shock reaction, like you swell up, like you're allergic to bees or something. You eat a bunch of peanut butter or something that you weren't allowed to eat, except it's for meat. And this covers a lot of different types of meat, and they are engineering these ticks to not reproduce, that go after cattle, and to not want to eat the cattle as well. All right, to try to make the ticks sick as well when they eat the cattle. So something's going on. Let me know down below what's your theory on this, of what's actually happening. And just a lot of suspicious things. And they are genetically engineering other insects as well. All right, I'll make some other reports on what they're doing and dive into that. But hit it up for me down below. I really appreciate that. And I hope you have a big old blessed day.